My mom died when I was 14 years old. I actually watched her die in her bedroom. It's one of the worst days of my life.
How'd she pass away?
She was misdiagnosed in the hospital. Came home, got really sick. And the ambulance, when I grew up in the projects, Newark, New Jersey, what they call the bricks, ambulances take their time coming. So by the time they had gotten there, my uncle had already gotten there and was trying to give her artificial respiration. It didn't work, so I watched her die. It was very traumatic. Yeah.
What was your childhood like, other than losing your mom at 14?
It was great. I mean, it's an experience I wouldn't exchange. I grew up in the housing projects in Newark, New Jersey. There were 64 families on one side of my building and 64 families on the other, and 128 families squeezed on each other like sardines in a bunch of buildings like that. Some more small bricks. We call them little bricks. They were 3 stories high instead of 8. In the middle was a courtyard with a field we used for football and baseball. And we had a basketball court, asphalt outside. A gymnasium and a community room kind of thing that was also used for kindergarten. Initially, it was great, no problems. I could leave my doors unlocked. I never had a key till I was like 12 or so, 11 or 12. And the milkman would deliver his 4 quarts of milk in these little containers, of four containers. And you leave them outside the door and you get them and you put your empty bottles out there and we'd come back and take them. No one ever stole them. It went from being a community like that to when the drugs came in. People were climbing off of the 8th floor, breaking into houses on the 8th floor because the windows are open because you have no air conditioning in the summer. And they would steal stuff so they could buy drugs. So you had to learn to navigate through all of those things. Actually, when I was 12 years old, I came downstairs and for fun, my guy lived on 5th floor, punched me in my solar plexus to show off for his boys. I fell on the ground and I got up. I couldn't breathe. And he was laughing. Ha, 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 all his buddies. He was 15. Well, I made up my mind when I went upstairs and walked past my mom. I was like, she's like, what's wrong? I said, nothing. It was on my birthday. Went in my room and I made a vow that I was gonna get him back. So many years later, I was 15. I was on a very important basketball program in America at the time, perennial team. My freshman year, we were #1 in the country. It was too big for me to understand that that was the #1 high school basketball team in the world. The whole team could dunk, had an outstanding coach, made me want to just work my ass off to get better. So when I became 15, now I'm in shape. Been running 3.5 miles on a regular basis, being on a cross-country team so I could never be tired in the game. I was taking my clothes to the laundromat one day, because we didn't have laundry, we didn't have a washing machine in the house. We had to go pay for that. So I saw him playing basketball 3-on-3 on the court. I said, I got next, I'll be right back. And I prayed that he would win. Stuffed my stuff in the laundromat, came back. He won. I picked up 2 of the losers. I said, I got Eddie. Everywhere he went, he got a piece of this, piece of that. We won the game, and I looked at him every time I gave it to him. He knew why I did it. I never told my mom, because snitches get stitches. But I gave him something back, the right way. These days, kids kill each other and do stupid stuff. But years later, I'm training basketball players, and I I heard someone said, yeah, I need you to work out one of my guys, show my guys something. I said, oh, what am I going to do? It's like winter times. You go down to the Y. I said, go down to the Y. I got a membership. Eddie's the director down there. Oh, really? So I go down there, I show up. I say, my name is Wayne Slappy. I need to talk to Eddie. I want to get to use the court to train a little kid, and teach him some basketball stuff. They called him up. Eddie gave me locker, towel, use of the court, and a basketball. So that's kind of the sweetest revenge of success. Kind of learned that in those projects, I learned a lot of life lessons down there. Learned how to play chess when I was in the 5th or 6th grade. Became one of the best chess players down there. And I used chess when I played basketball, And you think I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do that. If you react to that, then I'm gonna react to that. I'm thinking ahead of you. And I kind of passed that on to most of my players and do that in life too.
Chess is a great game for teaching
phenomenal game.
People how the moves you make today you'll pay a price for them if you make them wrong, or you'll benefit from them if you make them right. So it teaches you how to think 5, 6 moves ahead.
It also teaches you how to treat people, because even your pawns can become queens and kings. And they can't become kings, but they can certainly become queens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, chess is great. Mm-hmm. So basketball became your thing?
Yeah, I made my first layup when I was 8 years old. And basketball, as you know, is very Pavlovian, so you want to do it again and again and again. And then when you play against people, you want to be better than them. You want to show that you're better. And it helped me to go to high school. I went to a different high school than I was supposed to go to. My mom and my dad made up they were like, you can't go to school with your buddies. That was one of the best things that ever happened to me, I was a follower at one point in time. I always wanted to do what was exciting at one point in time. People could lead you. This is exciting, try this, this is exciting. So I'm glad I didn't go there. And basketball, even though I went to a school where kids were, half Jewish, half black, I loved it. I didn't have to wear all the fancy clothes and nice shoes and all that stuff, because I was a basketball player. It gave me status in the building. And so basketball has taken me, all over the world, really. I've trained people in China, Germany, everywhere, really. Or they've come to me.
You trained some very famous basketball players too.
Man, God has been so good. Yeah, when I was 28 years old, besides the kids at my high school, I became a high school basketball coach, head of my basketball team, when I was only 22 years old. Anyway, when I was 28, I had a 17-year-old kid named Michael Jordan. Before everyone really outside of North Carolina knew who he was and stuff, at a basketball camp called 5 Star. And rest in peace, Garf. Howard Garfinkel allowed me to be there among the top coaches in the country. And Tom Kachowski was one of the greatest walking basketball encyclopedias that ever walked the earth. And I told people how good I thought Michael was. And they were like, get out of here, man. Nobody's that good, man. I was like, okay, watch. We only lost one game. We lost to Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin will never, ever, ever let me forget the fact that he beat me at 5 Star, and he beat me when he played at Powell Memorial High School. And they beat my little team when we came over there and played them at Powell Memorial. He always rubs it in my face. But yeah, I've been, since Michael, I've had numerous players. Among the most blessed is I'm very good friends with Kobe's mother and father and his 2 sisters, and I love Kobe and I miss him. But I've had, Derek Fisher and Tyson Chandler and, Russell Westbrook and, James Harden. I could keep going, but I don't like to do that.
You coached Kobe as well?
Yeah. You don't have to teach a guy like Kobe a lot. You just give him, you give him what he needs and he just takes it, goes and, he's a basketball nerd. He's like a scientist. He'll go and play with that thing, take it like a Christmas toy and play with it till the batteries run out. Because if he knows it's going to work, he's going to use it to death. So between me and his dad, I'm not going to say that his dad is probably, what he was doing with Gigi was basically what his dad did with him. And it was a beautiful thing to watch, and it was a very, very traumatic thing. I mean, I had to go to the hospital, be operated on at UCLA. People called me from everywhere. I was getting phone calls and text messages, and I wasn't responding because I was training some kids up in the Palisades, which is not far from where he was living initially. And then when I got a call from Philly, I'm like, yo, They told me what happened. Is this true that, TMZ said, well, I said, what? So anyway, I jumped on my phone and looked it up, and everywhere it was nothing but helicopter crash, bomb. So I cried in the parking lot at Costco for an hour. My wife called me up and asked me, you all right? You want me to come get you? I was like, nah, I'll be here till I settle down and get a few things from Costco, and then I went home. And the next day I went and trained Festus Ezeli, who helped Steph Curry win their first NBA championship. I had met him when he was a young boy, and we had planned to train that next day, and we both cried on each other before we started working out. Then when I was working out, I really literally passed out. They called paramedics for me. They came and examined me and said, we can't do nothing. We need to take a visit to the hospital. Maybe they could find more things or whatever. So I eventually did it 2 days later. Did it on Tuesday. And I had an interview, CBS. And right after that I went, and they were like, nah, you gotta stay. And then they operated on me. Dr. Moriarty from UCLA was a genius. I'm really grateful to him. Still here because of that. I could have left. It was amazing. Yeah.
What have you learned from all these great athletes? What do they all have in common?
What do they all have in common? They're the best listeners ever. The best learners because they all want to be better. The ones who think they know everything, they get in their own way. I had a kid, played with Michael in high school, won the national championship. Both of them beat Georgetown. He played at Villanova. But he was a different kind of kid, and because of that, his path was different. He didn't go to the top. He got in his own way. The ones who listened, the ones who also governed by people around them who make things make sense instead of just kiss their butt, are the ones who make it also. The ones who don't get pulled astray. I have a kid named Chris Washburn that should have been up there, one of the most dominant power forwards in history. I wish I would have taken him into my house. One of my greatest regrets is he wanted to come and live with me, and I didn't do it because my son was was just born, and I couldn't bring a 6'10" kid home. And I was making out pennies. I couldn't afford that kid, and I wish I would have made a way to afford him because he got caught up in the drug trade and didn't live out his basketball career, played, very little in the NBA. He did make it, but because of drugs. So the ones who listen, the ones who stay away from the knuckleheadedness are the ones who make it. And they make my life pleasurable. Whenever I see them, I just grin and smile. They grin and smile back at me with the same grins they used to have as kids. Yeah.
They also think for themselves, don't they?
Oh, yeah, you can't. Like me, like I tell you, when I was a knucklehead kid, man, I used to follow the leaders. You got to become a leader. The great ones want to be a leader. That's what makes them great. They want to separate themselves from the pack, not follow it. They want the pack to follow them. Yeah.
Being a follower gets you in trouble.
All the time. It can. I mean, this is what I have two philosophies. One thing, I don't want to ever be the smartest person in the room. I got to find another room because that'll make me keep getting better. If I'm the smartest one and I'm King Tut or whatever, that ain't cool. Yeah.
And you've continued on. You're coaching high school kids?
Every level. It depends on what their needs are. Sometimes I just walk up to people and give them some information to help them get better. I watch them doing things, and I'll say, hey, man, I won't mention this NBA player. Well, I can. He'll know Aaron Gordon. I saw him shooting around at Michael Jordan's camp one day, and he's working out with his brother, and I came over and gave him a couple tips on how to shoot. I think I helped him a little bit. They won a championship with the Nuggets. Shoot better now than he used to. I got some secrets, man, that I give away to the ones that merit it. Yeah.
How have kids changed over the years?
First of all, I love the fact that people are getting paid to play in high school, college, for their efforts. I don't like the direction it's taking because some kids are getting NIL, name, image, and likeness money to the point where they're making more than their coaches, and they think that because they're an influencer, they must be somebody, and they don't have to necessarily get better. That's dangerous. You can't have the inmates running the asylum. You have to have people that are guiding you so that you can do a cooperative venture called teamwork. When you think you're the only one that has to be coddled to, that's a problem. I think there's too much of that going on right now. There's too much AAU basketball with these kids playing too many games versus learning how to play 3-on-3. We learn how to really play basketball, spacing, angles, decision-making. Basketball is played 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. All the other plays basically formulate that in the final analysis. And when to do what, you learn that playing 3-on-3, not a lot of 5-on-5 basketball. But there's a lot of people want to make a lot of money off all these kids and their parents with all these leagues and things like that without letting these kids develop. And moving from school to school, not based on anything other than that school's a winner, so let's go over there. Not, let me make that team a winner. So you have a lot of kids, that changes your whole perspective and formulation as a player. In some cases, it weakens the kids too, because now they have to rely on other people to be champions when you really, it should be the other one. They should be relying on you and your leadership and your example. For example, Michael one day was, retired twice, and he was in the gym, getting ready to play for the Wizards. And J.C. Murray, who was out here and tremendous basketball player in high school, created the most baskets in the history of California at one point. Leading scorer in the history of California, high school. Went to UCLA, had a great career. Tremendous shooter. Was playing on a team. He got to practice a half an hour early. Michael said, yo, man, what's up? And they greeted each other. He said, why are you so late? Chase's like, late? I'm half an hour early. Michael said, that's why y'all are losers. So you got to be the one that wants to be the first one in the gym, the last one to leave. If you want to be great and you want those other guys to respect you and lead, you can be the leader. You can be the lead steer, as they say. Yeah. These kids these days, man, they just want to be pretty. They just want to look good. So I can get my Instagram video, then I can get my influencing. So I'm making moves that I saw on the video, on another video. I'm not caring that maybe that guy's open, but I'm not even looking at that. I just want my move to make, that's not basketball. That's something else. That's a circus.
I think the key that a lot of young people miss today is that hard work and long-term gratification are your friends.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
That Kobe worked harder than anybody, right?
Man, that dude.
His hands were smaller. He had to.
Yeah, he had small. My hands are bigger than his father's hands. I mean, crazy enough as it sounds, his father's 6'10", and but yeah, no, Kobe. Like I say, he was a basketball nerd, man. And that dude just said, okay, if I'm gonna be the best shooter, this is what I got to do. Now, my understanding is that he went to a camp. I'm so tempted not to say this guy's name, but yeah, I don't want to get. Anyway, there's a very famous comedian now who thought he was a good basketball player at the time, and he's at a camp, and he walks over to the camp director and says, hey, man, that guy's supposedly one of the best high school players in the world, man, and definitely the best one in the country. I could do everything he could do. And the camp director said, yeah, but did you notice that Kobe was doing everything this week with his left hand? That's what I'm talking about. You want to work on your left, you really work on your left. You allow yourself to be vulnerable so that you can turn that vulnerability into a strength.
But Kobe would like get up super early and work out before anybody else would even.
I don't know what time of the day. Sometimes Kobe even slept. And Kobe wouldn't leave the gym till he made 1,000 shots. Not took, made 1,000. And not just any shots, the shots I'm gonna shoot in the game. You know, you say, you know, look at Walt Frazier shot fake. Oh, really? He'll master that and take it to another level. You know, you show him how to jab. You show a jab or how to use your fingers or whatever, and it's like, take it to another level. You know, yeah. Kobe's special, man. You know, I've had other ones, you know, I could have been really good. I was trying to do that with them. Rasul Butler is a classic example. He's another Philly kid, and he came out, me and Jelly were training him, Kobe's father. And, you know, I like to make you a well-rounded player, but sometimes you get in the NBA, they just want to use you for certain things you do very well. Well, one thing you could do is shoot. And all they did was have him shoot. He could do everything. But sometimes if you get the right coach, if you don't get the right coach, you know, they can mold you into doing limited things, and that changes your whole appreciation of the game. I won't say the name of another coach. It's another kid I was working with up at UCLA one day. I want to say the name so bad, but I don't want to get in trouble. And this kid was playing, I don't want to say the team. He was in the NBA. He was a great college player. And he made a move, he caught the ball in the wing, one bounce, pull up, poof, made the shot. Comes to the sideline during the timeout, and his coach cussed at him. I don't want to say the language. Why did you take that shot instead of giving it to one of these two guys who were the money people on the team? That kid was crushed. That ruined his career as a basketball player. Yeah. Yeah, so basketball is interesting, you know. I love it. I love every aspect of it. I love trying to help all my guys make it and other kids that don't have a chance to make it. I've been to Rwanda twice, coaching kids in Rwanda and in Jamaica and in the Bahamas who don't have wooden basketball courts to play on at all. They practice and play on concrete like I did, but that's all they have. What I was amazed at is in Rwanda was kids they have to wear shoes in Rwanda to school. Some kids, the only shoes they have are flip-flops. You know, flip-flops will break. You leave the flip-flops on the side of the court, practice barefoot. That's a serious basketball player. In the hopes that they can maybe come to America and play. You know, that teaches you a lot about yourself when you see kids like that. And so whenever I go to Rwanda, I try to bring shoes to give kids. Yeah.
What have you? I mean, you must have growing up in the hood and seeing, especially African American young men, get to the top of the food chain in terms of success and fame and all that goes with it. What are you learning about what it takes to break out of that, out of the streets and the poverty?
Oh man. First of all, you got to learn to do that. It's not, two people sinking in quicksand can't help each other. Somebody's got to get out, get strong, and then reach back in or use whatever tools you can to help that person get out of quicksand. If you stay in quicksand with them, you're going to go down with them. You can't be high and mighty, though. You can't think that your doo-doo don't stink. So you got to be careful. There's a balance there. But you kind of got to do that. Yeah, one of my kids was about to be drafted. And if he didn't get drafted, he was going to get put on a team. And he had to keep going back to his hood in Compton. He's sitting in the car, eating breakfast. Somebody came by. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Took off. He died. So you got to kind of leave the hood sometimes, you know. Especially if in your hood you don't have a network of people to keep the crazies away, the jealous people. There's a lot of people that they just haterade, man. For whatever reason, you get into a little discussion with them, and if they don't agree with you, they want to kill you instead of even talk about it. Because that's all they know. Hurt people hurt people. So, yeah. You got to get out.
You're old enough to remember the crack epidemic.
Let me tell you, I went through the weed, to the heroin, to the crack. Now they got all kind of fentanyl, all kind of crazy stuff out here. There's always going to be something somebody can lure you with. Yeah, I saw all of that, man. The alcohol too. You
stayed away from it all?
All of that, because I saw what happened. Well, first of all, the alcohol started me to stay away from because I remember once I went over more than once, but went over my grandmother the first time. Went over my grandma's house, my grandpa's house. And she's like, go around the corner, get Pop. He's playing cards with his friends. So I go around and get him. I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I go get him. I'm walking back, and he's like this. I'm holding him by the hand. That hurt. And then I graduated from grammar school, and I was getting all these awards. I was the number 3 person in my graduating class. And I had so many awards, my family members had to help me carry them. And I walk out of the front of the school, the entrance of the school. He took out his penis, he's peeing on the sidewalk. I was like, yo, that ain't gonna never happen to me. And I watched him and my grandmother, both of them rest in peace. I love them dearly. But I watched my grandmother eventually helping him from the bedroom to the bathroom to the living room to the kitchen as his body just deteriorated. This man that could squeeze my hand, we used to do that for fun to see how tough I was. And then he couldn't do any of that. I was like, nah, that ain't gonna happen to me. I wanna be an athlete. So that kept me away from a lot of that nonsense. A lot of my friends were dead on drugs or in jail before I graduated from school. So, yeah.
Sports is a really good thing for a kid during those teen years because you learn
everything.
How to work as a team. You work.
A lot of life lessons, man. My freshman year in high school.
You learn to be excellent.
You learn about people too. People that you think wouldn't care. I can tell you my school was half Jewish, half black. And I went to the lunchroom. Now, mind you, I had to walk to school 16 days, 25 cents each way, so I could buy an $8 pair of Chuck Taylors, brand new Chucks, underneath my table with a jersey, number 22, Elgin Baylor's number that my uncle had given me, new pair of socks, getting ready to go to practice. Someone stole my stuff when I went to get some lunch. Came back, I was like, oh, man. I'm in my room, history class, and my teacher finds out what happens. Bert Finkelstein. Bert would drive to my projects, pick me up, bring me to his house. I want you to cut my lawn. And his sister, would feed me something. And he'd drive me home. Then when the fall came, why don't you rake my leaves? So I always have some money in my pocket. Quality teachers, man. I had some excellent teachers. You get teachers like that make you care about your learning, and then, you get a John Silver who is my English teacher, and he teaches me. I was cheating, like most kids. He said, do a book report. I read the first few chapters, the middle couple chapters, last few pages, and write a book report. And because I put my commas and periods in the right place, I capitalized my beginning of my sentences. I did my work on time. Most teachers just give you a good grade. I'm a good kid. I ain't throwing spitballs at nobody. And Dr. Silver's like, no. This Shakespearean sonnet, no, you don't understand a word in it. Writes it in red ink on my papers. I'm walking up to the front of his desk where he told everybody, Mr. Slappy, you have absolutely no idea what this poem is about. I should give you an F, but I'm gonna give you a D because it looks like you did a lot of work. On my way up, I was like, I'm about to knock this dude out. Then I heard my mother in my ear. That's not how you get them. I made up my mind, this is in the 10th grade. I'm gonna become the best student this dude ever had. Just like that. Now, mind you, Neil Aboff is in my class, 12 years old, graduated when he was 13 years old, mathematical genius. Yvonne Thomas is in my class, one of the top first black female judges in the United States. I could keep on and going on about the people in that classroom because they were all amazing in my honors English class. So for me to say that I'm gonna do that, and whatever myriad of other kids he's gonna have, and then find out years later that I am one of the best 2 students he ever had. That came from basketball, work ethic, working my ass off, taking criticism, profiting by it, getting better. Yeah. Teaches you to appreciate schooling and learning, because you got to learn on the basketball court. You can't walk there and show up and know everything already. You got to cooperate with people too. You got to learn how, talk to your teammates and, soup them up when they need souping up and, straighten them out when they need straightening out. Yeah, basketball is a wonderful, wonderful sport.
After doing so many interviews with people who come from broken homes in poverty-stricken areas, the one thing that just stands out is they don't have any good role models. Mm. Role models are like non-existent. They're drug dealers, there's hustlers, there's pimps, and that's all they have to look up to. How important are having a good role model?
For me, I had good role models. My teachers were my role models. My father-in-law and my father, I'm a double PK. My initial father-in-law was outstanding. One of the best human beings that ever lived, ever on this planet. We would have meetings on weekends for the youth, and there might be 100 kids there from every nationality. He would arrange for them to get picked up, brought home. Learned a lot of stuff from him about helping people not being selfless, but certainly not being selfish. My teachers, like I said, I learned English grammar more in my German class than any other place, studying German. My Swahili teacher in high school, she was outstanding. Her son was in my school when we were together as freshmen, but then he transferred because we had the riots. And she still came, she still cared. He was Jewish, they were Jewish, they moved away. School changed, transitioned. Lenny Moore, rest in peace, Coach. He wasn't my coach, but he was my teacher. I didn't know at the time that he had been an orphan. And a kid that he helped get a scholarship for track, he was a track coach. Came home one day and his parents had moved and they didn't leave any forwarded address or phone number or anything. Only person he could call was Lenny, and Coach, I don't know where my family is. It's all right, man. You come live with me. That high school coach I told you about when I was a freshman, he stopped coaching after my freshman year. How high could you get? You have the #1 team in the country. Goes over coaches the Maccabean games. That's fine. 11 years later, after helping me through high school and everything, he would come back to games and still teach you. He'd be, Slap, do this, do that. I'm the head coach of my high school, basically following in his footsteps. He's buying me things for my son. When my son was born. That's one of the greatest role models in the world. My mom died when I was 14, and there's a missing gap there, You need parenting even when you're an adult. And God sent this lady named Esther Roll into my life. Woman from Good Times. She played Florida Evans. She was the first one out of 18 kids. She was number 10. She was the first one born in America. She taught me a lot of life lessons, including about her mom who never went to school formally, but she went through school through her children by asking them, "What'd you learn today?" They would teach her, and they had to know, because if they were fumbling and mumbling, stumbling through those answers, she knew they didn't pay attention. So they paid attention in school. When they came home, they taught their mama. She went to school through them. So yeah, God blessed me with a lot of great role models. Yeah. They help. You gotta have people that's gonna help. It takes a village for real. Otherwise, you can get lost quick. You can find them, but you gotta look for them too. You gotta be willing to listen when they give you information. Yeah.
Tell me about your life. You were married, or you are married?
Was married, got remarried. Yes, I have been together now for quite a while, 29 years.
And you have kids?
I have 2, my son and 2 grandsons, and my daughter who asked me to be her dad. Yeah, I love all of them as much as I love breath. Talked to my daughter this morning before I came here. She made me laugh for half an hour. I'm very lucky. My son is living in Croatia, believe it or not, with his family right now. They'll be back in the summer, coming back to the States, but I miss them too. I was spending 3 days a week with them. They're tremendous. My daughter, man, she rose from being the first human. Her first movie, she was the human friend of the Chipmunks and Alvin and Chipmunks the Squeakquel, to doing, what was that? I think she was at a TV show, House of Anubis in London, to rising to be Storm in X-Men series. Worked with Samuel L. Jackson, friend of mine, on the Shaft movies. She was on Shaft number 3, she was Sasha. She was in Straight Outta Compton, she played Lisa. And she was in Barbie. So yeah, my kids, I pour myself into them. They pour themselves into me. They make me know that I needed an iPhone. I was like, no, I don't need that. I need to be on Facebook. I need an iPad. They keep me current, man. Kids are important.
But what does it take for a man to decide to be a father, to be there for his kids? Because a lot of men are bailing out.
Man, first of all, I had a great dad. Even though he split up from my mom, I didn't understand that when I was a kid. How did that happen? Well, I was on the way before he graduated from high school. He decided to forget his career and just go to work and take care of me and my mom. And my mom, he was a young man, still had to sow his oats and everything. My mom was not patient with that, and understandably so. So he went a different way, but he was always in my life. And the movie Lean On Me, he's in Lean On Me. He's the only one in the movie playing himself, because he actually is the one to help clean up the school physically. He was the head custodian. Spiritually, walking around talking to all the kids, and had a dry cleaning business, so he never took from the offering plate. When you have a great dad like that, my father-in-law, who taught me how to sit at a table and use the right utensils, at the right time, and how to talk to kings as well as paupers. To whom much is given, much is required. And you give back because you were given. It's not hard. Now, is it complicated sometimes? Absolutely. Do you have to learn how to be a dad? Absolutely. Do they always do what you tell them to do? Absolutely not. And that's when you got to be resilient. Again, basketball teaches you to be resilient and how to cooperate with other people who think differently, move differently, do different things. It's okay, but together, we'll put it together. And like I said, I was, kind of sad this morning, had a lot on my mind. I don't know how my daughter knows. She just had me laughing, man. She just can feel it, And so you need that. For any dads that opt out of being a dad, you're stupid. Because you're missing a big chunk of yourself that's going to make you a better self. So, yeah, no. And then I've had other kids who've become my kids. I had a kid named Brent Huggins. I used to go to his house and help him, had to tutor him and everything to keep him eligible for school. I didn't allow any of my players, when I was coaching the high school team, if you didn't have a 2.5, you couldn't play for me. And this kid was one of my best players, and I wanted him to really get a scholarship and everything. So I remember the first time I went to his house. I had to walk carefully on the wood because he lived in a slumlord's house, and you could smell the wood when you walked in his house. You had to be careful so you didn't step through the floor, especially me. I'm a big person. I was probably weighing about 225 then. And I met his mom and his sister and talked to them and helped that kid become somebody. And went back to the funeral of one of my other kids, and he heard I was in town. Coach, man, I want to take you to a game. I want to take you to the college that I went to. I went to Manhattan College. I want to take you to a game there. They invited me to this game. I want to go to this game. Woo-woo. Okay. Picked me up, brought me to the game, brought me back to the hotel. Said, Coach, this is one of the best days of my life, man. I had no idea when I was doing that with him that he would ever say something like that to me. But that's what happens when you become someone's surrogate parent. Esther Rose said we used to go out and people would ask her, was I her son? She would grin and she'd look at me. And she would say, he wasn't the one I had, he's the one that God sent. I never forgot that. And so, in turn, I have to be open to kids. I can't adopt everybody. I'm not going to do that. I don't have enough bandwidth for that. But the ones that come into my life, I remember that. To whom much is given, much is required.
What would your advice be for the younger generation that's out there now?
Try to find as many quality older people as you can for mentorship. Help them to guide you through where you're going. Find what you love first. Because if you love something when you're doing it, it's never work. You don't care how many hours you work, you're going to just keep doing it because you want to get better at it. And find people in that field that can mentor you. Because you don't know. When I was 22 years old, man, I was full of myself. But I was smart enough to know I need to go to these basketball clinics with John Wood and Al McGuire, Dean Smith, and Jimmy Boeheim and George Raveling, and learn more. Because you got to learn. You as much as you don't know enough. And there's things they can teach you that you can't get in your little span of life. You can't squeeze a quarter into a dime. So you have to go get those invaluable other cents to make sense from other people.
There have been so many great basketball players over the years. Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain.
I love Bill Russell. Man,
Walt Frazier, who you mentioned. Michael.
Walt Frazier, come on,
Yeah,
man.
Julius, Kobe.
Other one, Sam Jones. Sam Jones, man.
Yeah, there's so many. But
Sam Jones got 10 rings, bruh. 10. People don't even know that. They don't even. Rest in peace, Sam. This dude can shoot bank shots. Yeah, Steph can shoot. He can shoot bank shots from half court near the sideline. Wow. Come on, man. There's been a lot of great players. And anything that they have to offer you, you listen to every single syllable. If you ever talk to Oscar Robertson, listen to every single syllable. Now, they don't have the platform that Kobe had. Thank God he was useful, use it the right way. You know, but if you ever are blessed to meet them, pay attention to them. They're amazing.
I remember when I was in grade school on the basketball team.
Go ahead.
After practice, I was in the gym. I think I was the last one in the gym, and our coach was friends with Bill Bradley. Bill Bradley comes in.
Yes.
He's wearing dress clothes like you are.
Yes.
Picks up a basketball and just hits one after the other from midcourt. Yeah. Midcourt. I never saw anything like it. This is grade school, 7th grade. And I'm like, gee, this was amazing to watch.
And again, we do more than dribble. You're talking about a man who was a genius.
Mm-hmm.
You know, studied in England. You know, brilliant Princeton University graduate. Yeah, nice man. Decides he could have done anything.
Should have been president.
I'm gonna serve the country. That
should have been president.
Yeah, he played on one of the best Knicks teams ever, man. Great guy.
So on the same topic, Larry Bird, who he failed to mention in that list, I heard him say recently, and you could argue that any of these guys were the best that ever was, but I heard Larry say just recently that it's not about who was the best, because every generation brings up bigger and better.
Correct. That's why I never entered that conversation.
Yeah, it's a stupid conversation, because you could argue that Michael was the best for probably until now, or maybe Kobe, whatever. But now you've got LeBron, you've got others coming, and it just continues to evolve and get better and better. And that's what Larry said. He said that's a stupid conversation, because the game is evolving and getting better and better, and every generation is going to improve.
Let me tell you something, man. Basketball was invented in 1891 by a Canadian immigrant, immigrants helped this country, who was teaching gym class in Springfield, Massachusetts. His class had 18 kids in it. They needed something to do in the winter. Use his creativity to go bang peach baskets up on either end of the floor of a running track. That's why it's 10 feet off the ground. They played 9 guys on the side at first because it was just like soccer. Then they had to figure out the rules, and little by little till we get to where we are today. I hear kids talk about, well, Russell, he didn't play against nobody. And I said, well, whoa. Mr. Russell decided there's nothing in the rule book. You read the rule book. When is the last time you read a rule book? There's nothing in the rule book that says I couldn't block that shot, keep it from going in the basket. So between him and Will Chamberlain, it's goaltending rules, because otherwise no one would score. So is it the scorer or the guy that keeps the other people from scoring that's the greatest? There's no greatest. Everybody adds and learns things that they add to the game. They contribute to the game. The game keeps evolving. It's going to continue to evolve. They're going to have to widen the court. They're going to have to eventually one day, but people can't afford it. That's the problem. Raise the baskets higher. They got to widen the court, though, because you got these big 7-foot guys that move like guys that are 5'2". And they're going to have to change the rules to establish it so to make everyone be able to still contribute to the game, though. I don't know what those rules are going to be, but I'm sure somebody's going to come up with some little contributions here and there, like waves in an ocean, that change the shoreline to make the game continue to get better. It's going to keep evolving. There had to be a Connie Hawkins and a Julius Erving to create a Michael Jordan to create a Grant Hill and Michael Jordan to create a Kobe Bryant, and a Magic Johnson and a Oscar Robertson to create a LeBron James. And it's going to always be that happening, always be that. I don't know what Wemby's going to do, but Wemby's going to make people go to a whole nother level, But there had to be Kevin Durant before there was a Wemby. Before that, there had to be a Magic Johnson, because before that, coaches wouldn't let you dribble a basketball if you were taller than 6'5", past the foul line when you got a rebound. You had to pass the ball. So the game's going to continue to evolve. That's what's so exciting about the game of basketball. I just don't want to get ruined by all this money and all these money grubbers hanging around all these kids, taking advantage of them. I want to try to keep it as pure as it can be and have kids playing for the right reasons. If you play for something bigger than yourself, certainly bigger than money, that's going to make you a great player.
I'll ask you one more question. Wayne, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
Resilience. Overcoming obstacles, no matter what it is. Just keep working and keep grinding. Be the best that you can be at whatever it is you do, and you'll always be in demand. You'll always enjoy what you're doing.
Beautiful talk. Wayne Slappy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
We'll have to do another one of these. Thank you, man.
Thank you.